All right, all right, all right. What is up, Jackson? Give everybody a minute to get in here. Good times in the city of Jackson today. Finish getting that cut down. What is going on, folks? I figure since everybody's boycotting the NFL tonight, we would jump on and do a quick little show. It ain't gonna be a long one. Got things to do. But figure we'd jump on here for 20, 30 minutes. Have a little fun with you guys tonight. Want to start the show off with a quick well, I'll wait on the happy birthday. I'll wait on that. I want to make sure they get in here. I don't want them to miss it. So it's a sad day in the city, man. It's like, remember the movie Mississippi Burning? Well, Jackson is burning. The industrial levels of murder happening in this city are absolutely horrifying. And I don't care if they are friends and family members that have gotten aggravated with each other over the heat and killing each other, as I've seen some people online suggest. It is it's terrible, and there's got to be some kind of home training, some kind of conflict resolution skills that we can start teaching these folks. Not argue with the police about everything, not argue with each other about everything. Let's start teaching some real conflict resolution and consequences and repercussions. Because this is terrible, what's going on. Y'all give me a second here. I forgot to hit share on my platforms. By the way, while we're talking about sharing, y'all please hit the share button. Tell y'all all the time, this helps more than anything else you can do. Allison, hello. Shout out to everybody in the comments here, man. I see you guys. A bunch of y'all watching already. That's great. I didn't think we would have this many people this early with the big football game on. So, interesting there. Look, a couple of things we can talk about while I'm waiting on my computer. I swear, man. I'm never going to buy another Windows computer after this one finishes out croaking. They just do not last like they should. So I'm going to skip around here a little bit. So, I had a drunk guy cussing me out on Instagram a minute ago. I assume he was drunk anyway. His name was Dr. Phil. So, I know it wasn't the real Dr. Phil, obviously. But I posted in the Instagram story on Save Jackson just the picture that the Department of Health sends out with the COVID numbers on it. And all I said was today's COVID numbers. I wasn't my typical smart-ass self. I wasn't anything. I literally just posted the picture and said, today's COVID numbers. This guy said, you're a fake bleeping liar, you know. I was like, okay, Chad. I was like, it has to be miserable to go through life that dumb. And something along those lines. I forget my exact words, and he just texts back. He was like, okay, thank you. And that was the end of that. What is wrong? Oh, I sent him a screenshot of the actual full tweet from the Mississippi Department of Health and said it must be miserable to go through life that stupid. And of course, I called him Chad. And I love my friends Chads. I love my Chad friends, but y'all know, it's like Chad is the white guy version of Karen. So we have to take our shots when we can. I am almost, my computer is finally rebooted here. I don't know why it waits till I go live every night to do this. So I'll continue to use my iPad for streaming. Look, tomorrow is 9/11. It is the 19th anniversary of the terrorist attacks in New York on the Twin Towers. And it's so weird. I normally really remember these things. And I've even seen pictures of it online today, and I just didn't think much of it. And I shared some stuff a couple days ago about it. But Crystal was like, tomorrow's 9/11 anniversary. I'm like, dang, I said, I've wrote 9/10 on so many pieces of paper today for work. I didn't even think about tomorrow being 9/11 in that sense. And so stay tuned to the page tomorrow. I'm going to put together some special stuff tonight. We try to, I feel terrible even admitting that I let it almost slip up on me, but we try to never forget. We'll do some tribute stuff tomorrow, and we're gonna backtrack to this at the end of the show, and I'm just want to read you guys' comments. Where were you? When you saw the planes hit the towers? I mean, I think it's one of them deals where if you're past a certain age, you never forget where you were and what you were doing in that exact moment. And then when the second plane hit, you may not have been watching the news when the first one hit, but 18 minutes out, somewhere in the next 18 minutes, you tuned in, and most of the world saw the second plane hit live. I know I did. I was asleep when the first plane hit, and within a couple minutes, somebody woke me up, and they were like, "Turn on the TV, we're under attack, or a plane has hit the World Trade Center." And then by the time the second plane hit, I was like, "Oh crap, we're under attack." That is not an accident. I mean, it sounds very Captain Obvious to say that now, but it was so unexpected then that you don't think about necessarily. Maybe the first thing that comes to mind wasn't a terrorist attack. Now, you see a car accident somewhere that looks a little crazy and you think terrorist attack. So it's wild, to think how long ago it's been, and all the civil liberties and freedoms we gave up to our government in the name of terrorism. With the I forget the name of that big act that they passed, but off the top of my head, but man, we gave up all kind of personal information and all that, and a lot of it good. I'm sure we haven't had a big attack like that for the most part since. So it wasn't all for naught, but you kind of see a lot of the same similarities going on with the COVID stuff, and the freedoms and the things we're so quick to give up. Cash, coins, like just take it. I don't want to touch no money. Just get it away from me. Just like it was the easiest take for the New World Order ever. And just other things. We can sit here and have a whole nother show about the things that we've given up for the new normal. And man, it's very scary. Be careful what you give up so quickly. A lot of people died for our right to have these things. Don't let a couple politicians take it away from us so easily in the name of safety from COVID. You won't get it back, and you'll be like, where did it go? I'm almost done sharing these couple things into some of these groups here. If I'm going to take the time and effort to do these shows, I'm going to take the time to share them into a few of these real talk groups, give them something to talk about. All right, there we go. So, on to some news. We just had the 87th and 88th homicide in the city today. And I thought for a second we had the 89th, but it was WLBT reporting the 88th, saying they found a man dead in the car. I believe WJTV was first on the scene as far as I know. That's where I saw the information from. So number 87 happened right in South Jackson, man. If you grew up over here, Rainy Road and Briarcliff Apartments. If you're my age, 42, 43, somewhere in that age, under 45, maybe young, maybe a little older than that. You probably had a friend that the first apartment was at Briarcliff. If you had some friends that went to Forest Hill, Byram, Wingfield, Witten, that area, there's a good chance you have more than one friend that lived in the Briarcliff Apartments or the neighborhood behind it there. So number 87 happened at the Briarcliff Apartments today. Then number 88 happened they discovered the body around 7:30 tonight on the corner in a vehicle on Covent and Taft Street in Jackson. Not sure exactly where Covent and Taft Street are on the map, but I'm guessing that's back there in the West Jackson area. I'm not 100% sure on the exact location, but that's really bad. Look, okay, real quick, I want to wish happy birthday to somebody. I just saw her log in. Great family friend. We all celebrate all of our birthdays together. Mayon McClendon, happy birthday. We love you. Can't wait to see you Saturday night for some shrimp and crab legs. So, I don't normally do that, but when you get special friends like Mayon, you make sure you tell them happy birthday, because they do not come around every day. Friends like that will stop what they're doing on a dime and come and help you no matter what. So she has been a blessing for our family, and definitely want to make sure that we recognize Mayon. All right, so who's going to the Trump boat parade Saturday? It pops off at noon on the Rankin County side of the reservoir is where it's going to start. Tate Reeves says he is going to do his best to attend the boat parade. I would think at this point, if I'm Tate Reeves, I'd be scared to get on anybody's boat that wasn't mine. I've never seen one governor have so many people on both sides pissed off at him. And it's actually kind of weird because the people on the left kind of agree with a lot of what he's doing with the mask stuff, but they can't like him because he's a Republican. And Republicans are pissed off at him because they don't like being told what to do. We don't like being told what to do. So he's in a tough spot, and I recognize that. But he's not making it any better for himself when he comes across looking like a damn hypocrite with these mask things. You know, telling everybody else, do as I say, not as I do. And so I'm going to take that and lead it into this. Tate got called out by Benny Thompson, I think it was yesterday, but I didn't see the meme till this morning. So, of course, I do what I do. I stole a meme, and I shared it. It's my own. But Benny Thompson shared it, and we shared it on our page here. And it was Tate without the face mask. Well, half of it face mask on, half of it face mask off at the White House. And then it showed the kids partying on Dixon Road. Well, Benny's like, you know, how are you going to talk bad about these kids? Because Tate did. He frowned upon those kids partying in his press conference yesterday. And let's just be honest, 99.99999% of those kids were African Americans. So Benny Thompson's going to step up and say something, and good for Benny. So if Tate says anything about them, you know, now it's not about masks no more. You know, it's about something else. We're not going to get into all that, but Tate looked like an ass. Long story short, and I don't think anybody disagrees. You can't tell people to do something that you're not doing. It's one thing if you're not an alcoholic, as I take a sip of beer. It's one thing if you're not an alcoholic and you're telling people they shouldn't drink so much. That's understandable. But we're talking about a public health thing here with face mask, and, you know, you're not allowing anybody to do anything without a mask on. Meanwhile, you go do everything without a mask on. Except take pictures for social media. And if speaking of Tate, his number one rival, the thorn in his side, Robert Foster, is in Facebook jail right now, according to his Twitter. I don't know what he said, but I'm guessing it probably has something to do with China. He has been on a China tear lately. So Robert Foster is in Facebook jail, at least his public account. So we'll see how that works out for Robert. Hopefully he gets back, because him and Tate's beef was great. I accidentally got away from the live feed here. I want to make sure I can see you guys' comments. And I'm going to get back to your comments, so keep on keeping on with them. And I promise I'm going to get to your comments here in just a minute. I just want to get to a stopping point. With the way this lags behind about a minute, reading the comments in live time throws everything off course a little, and I get to going down rabbit holes without finishing subjects. So Crystal is on standby to help me out with comments, and we definitely appreciate her. And I appreciate her last night. I know it probably came across like I was being rude, and I really wasn't. I was just agitated because the Facebook lags behind. and it makes me forget what I'm doing. So that's on me, not her. All right. Where am I at?
Let's see.
Trump boat parade? We'll go back to the Trump boat parade. Are you going? What are people saying in the comments? Anybody going to the boat parade?
Nobody says they're going. They're asking if you're going.
No, I'm working. I don't... Look, I support everybody's right to go out and have a good time and do what they do, but, in sales, Saturday is y'all keep scheduling these dang protests on Saturdays. It's hard for me to make them. I got asked to speak at one in front of the Capitol next weekend. It's a Saturday. Everything's on a Saturday. Nobody does anything on a Sunday anymore.
Mm-hmm. Lots of people replying about where they were on September 11th when all that happened.
A lot of people replying about where they were on September 11th. So I was in the bed initially. And we had opened up Crazy 8 on August 10th, 2001. So I guess 32 days later, 1 month and a day later, 9/11 happened. And of course I was telling a buddy of mine, Johnny, and I see he's watching. I was telling him the story at work this morning. And that we thought that was it. A month in, we just get a terrorist attack, and who's going to want to go to a bar? And we actually waffled back and forth on even opening or not that weekend. Didn't know if it was in good taste or not. Like I told Johnny, I said, I guess I've always tended to lean towards doing whatever was in bad taste. At least I used to. So we opened. And we had our biggest night to date. That was on a Thursday. Or it was college night. Of course, the older we get, the less resilient we like to think about kids being. 18, 19, 20, 21-year-olds, whatever. It's like, as an adult, if 9/11 happened right now, it would be the worst thing. What was the worst thing then? But you just you process stuff differently. And you understand the importance of how bad the situation is. Kids don't look at it quite like that. College kids especially. It's like, I just want to go out and shake my ass tonight and drink some beers and fight my friends. And so we opened up Crazy 8 2 nights later. So Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday? Yeah. Two full days later, the Thursday. And had a big night, and never looked back. We had every weekend and week after that, we just got bigger and bigger and bigger. But I remember we did throw a charity event for, I can't even remember what charity now. It was one of the was it something to do with I get possibly the Red Cross. I'll have to go back and look, but we called it Freedom Fest, and we had about 20 local bands. Patrick Harkins, who's got Harkins Music Store down in Fondren, who I love to death. As much hell as I give Fondren, I love Patrick and I love his guitar store. So never talking bad about Patrick when I talk about Fondren. He just happens to be in Fondren. But Patrick Harkins' band played, and man, they used to rock out back in the day. One of the best bands to ever come out of Jackson. A band called 420 played. Baby Fred and his band Blindside played. And I cannot remember who all else played off the top of my head. Mudface. I want to say Absence of Concern. I mean, it was a who's who of Jackson rock bands at that time. Fondren guitar, that's it, not Harkins guitar. Fondren guitar. But it was a who's who of Jackson rock bands. We did that about, I want to say 2-3 weeks after 9/11. We threw that thing together and had a huge turnout. It was one of the deals where we started it in the middle of the day and just took it all through the night. I think we raised a couple grand, gave it all to the, I guess, Red Cross. I can't remember off the top of my head, but that was a big event. It was fun. It felt good to do good. So actually, I was telling a story not too long ago on the anniversary of Katrina that the first time that we did a big charitable thing was when we took about 1,000 or so chicken wings down to the Coliseum for people. I don't like using the word refugees, but people who had came up, who had to leave their homes on the coast in New Orleans. We took a bunch of food to them, and I'd forgotten about the Freedom Fest thing until just now. I guess the first time I've ever told this story publicly, and that was the first time we really dabbled into doing like big events for charity and whatnot, and it's a good feeling. I know I pick at people sometimes about doing stuff just for social media, but But it does feel good to do good, and sometimes you want to tell people about it.
Thomas Corn says, "Well, hello there, Clay. Where is your better-looking half, Crystal?"
I know. I was texting with Thomas right as I was coming on the air tonight. I've been supposed to call Thomas. I've been supposed to call a lot of you guys. Y'all text me a lot, and I'm supposed to call y'all, and I've been terrible about it the last 3 weeks. Been working so much, trying to put the show together and be consistent with this, trying to be a husband, trying to be a father. You know, that 5 or 10 minutes I get alone in my car going to and from work, 15 minutes, I almost kind of cherish that just to hit a reset button. It's like sometimes the last thing I want to do is get on the phone. You know, so if I don't call you, it's not because I don't want to talk to you. It's just because I am brain fried. And sometimes I just need that minute to reset before I get home or get to work or whatever the case may be.
Somebody said they believe that 9/11, the terrorist attack, and COVID are they're both basically terrorist attacks.
Yeah, COVID is a terrorist attack. Let's not make no mistake about it. The way it was handled coming from China was a terrorist attack, and I know that there's some people who are going to say that, well, Trump knew that it was worse than it is. I mean, look, at some point you have to be an adult and say there's a lot of people died somewhere. You know, is it potentially dangerous? You know, I don't know. But yeah, I agree. Without getting too far off track into the politics side of that, I do believe it was a terrorist attack, and I believe 9/11 there's more to it than the story they're telling us. You know, how much? I don't know. I don't want to say it was a 100% false flag. I don't believe that. But I believe there's more to the reality of that. You know, especially when you think about us funding Al-Qaeda and all that to fight Russia for us, and, you know, or the Taliban and all that. Details are sketchy at this point in my life, but there's a lot more to that story, and I think a lot's come out. Especially if you think how fake the news has shown us they really are. You know, like how much looking back in hindsight, how much do you really believe about what they told us about 9/11? You know? So, pretty interesting times there. Yeah, Shannon, I'm with you, man. I'm a bit of a 9/11 conspiracy theorist myself. Danica, I see several people agree. You know, it's always more to the story. You know, just there's a lot of information available, and I think it's good to absorb as much of it as possible. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to weed out the BS. Kind of ask yourself what makes sense, what doesn't. You know, and try to piece the puzzle together a little bit. And I think most of us all kind of piece it together the same way. We may do a show sometime on the Clay Edwards Media page, you know, about some of these conspiracy theories and stuff. I hate to take the Jackson page and shove all of my crazy opinions and conspiracy theories down y'all's throats on this page, but maybe get on my other page and we can have these conversations. I think it'll be a good time. Oh, let's see here. It's just sad. Oh, real quick, man. It should have been the first thing I told y'all. Tonight's show is brought to you by the Gym at Byram. This month, no joining fee. A single membership is $50. That's $100 for your family. This is a full-service gym. This is not some fly-by-night, $10 a month gym. I'm talking about swimming pool, sauna, locker rooms, indoor basketball, all the spin classes, all the different kind of classes, tanning beds. There's an entire private women's gym within the gym. Then, of course, you have a CrossFit area or a cross-training area, weights, treadmills, cardio. I mean, you name it. Oh, all the tennis courts. It's the real deal. This is no middle-of-the-mall gym. This is not some weird purple planet. This is a big gym. Real deal. Check them out online at The Gym at Byram on Facebook, thegymatbyram.com, or give them a call at 372-2229. And they will take care of you. They'll get you a virtual tour. You can set up a real tour. They will be back to open in 24 hours as soon as the governor allows them to. So, great gym. I'm back in there. I'm 3 weeks back in myself. Feels great to see everybody. Been out. Yesterday was a year to the day since I had my rotator cuff surgery. And I guess it had been about a year and 3 months since I'd really been back in the gym. But with all that said, back in there, still got a little pinch in my shoulder, but I'll live. It's better than it was. So,
Angela said, what about all these fires being set across the country right now?
yeah, so the West Coast is burning, isn't it? So, I know y'all can't hear Crystal over there like I can, but one of our commenters, Angela, asked about all the fires being set across the country. Man, the West Coast is burning, isn't it? And it's crazy because that's where that's where a lot of the violence and the looting and the bad rioting and all that stuff happened at, was in a lot of these West Coast cities. And now the countrysides, in the forest and stuff, are burning there. And I saw tonight, and I didn't have a chance to click on the details, but I did see where it said a left-wing BLM supporter had been arrested for starting one of the fires. I'll go back and I'll check the story and share the link, when I get offline here. But that was the exact quote that I saw, and that was on Tim Pool's podcast. And Tim does not share anything that's not from reputable sites. So if you watch Tim Pool, you may not agree with his opinion on stuff, but the news links he shares and stories are legit. So it'll be interesting. And I'd heard some mumblings earlier in the day that those fires may have been intentionally set, but been very busy, so just hadn't had a chance to dive into them. Let's see. Shannon says not to stir the pot, but anytime somebody says not to stir the pot, they're ready to stir the pot. Shannon says not to stir the pot, but let's remember that World Trade Center 7 wasn't hit by a plane and still fell. Absolutely. I mean, I think that's the craziest part of all of it. Sonny says, that's why everyone will be in Texas if war ever hits America's shores. Texas has its own power grid. It's got farms, oil, and its own seaport. Yeah, look, and that's a great point. And Mississippi does not have a lot of the same infrastructure in place, but a state like Mississippi that doesn't depend on a lot of exporting and a lot of outside stuff. And you can close Mississippi off pretty easily, too, and that's very important. There's only, 3 bridges coming into the state? If I'm right, I think there's only 3 bridges on the whole west side of the state at the Mississippi River that you can come across to get into the state. Natchez, Vicksburg, and up around Memphis. Or hell, it may only be 2, and the bridge in Memphis that goes to Arkansas. I can't remember that, but for sure. You would think there'd be another one somewhere along the way up there. But so you can close the state off, from the west. And then the east, there's not a whole lot of road. I mean, you got woods and all that. But anyway, I say all that to say, a state like Mississippi could be closed off relatively easy to the outside world. We've kind of closed ourselves off from the outside world for about 50 years now. I don't know why it would be that much harder to do it for real. And then we do have a port somewhat down on the coast. So, and we have a lot of rednecks with guns. And that love to hunt, that have freezers full of food. I believe Mississippi is a place you would want to be if a zombie apocalypse or war popped off. I don't think it would be the worst place to be.
People are asking about watching the football games and all that.
Watching football games?
Yeah.
Yeah, look, I flipped it on because I wanted to see. I did see on social media where everybody stood for the anthem. So I was like, okay, I'll flip it on for a minute. They're standing for, that's meeting in the middle somewhat. I do not like the stuff on the helmets. I just don't. I'd be lying, and I don't want everyone to lie to you guys. I think y'all know who I am through and through. I've been pretty honest about that. But they all stood for the anthem, and that's important to me. I think it would have been a terrible, terrible look on the eve of 9/11 to have kneeled. So kudos to the Texans and the Chiefs. The Chiefs are whooping the Texans right now, 31-7. So all that nonsense about the Texans quarterback being better than Dak Prescott, LOL. He is not. He just played in a much better college program.
Danica said, what do you think of Oklahoma's rezoning in favor of natives? Do you know anything about that?
Oklahoma's rezoning in favor of what?
Natives.
Danica, you said that? Mm-hmm. Danica, I read a quick story about that, and I need to really go back and research it. I saw where they were rezoning in favor of the Native Americans, and it could completely change everything about Oklahoma. I actually watched a story on Tim Pool about it a few weeks ago. I need to go freshen up on that before I answer you, because it kind of, I don't want to say it went in one ear and out the other, but so much news comes at us so fast now. 2 weeks ago feels like 2 years ago. So let me go back and find that story and watch it again, and I'll get back to you on that.
Johnny Jordan said Texans stayed in the locker room. And then Charles said one guy kneeled and they played the black
national anthem
before the game.
Yeah, so, I see that there. Yeah, look, I'll be honest. I didn't watch the pregame. I saw on social media that they didn't stand, that they didn't kneel. So one guy kneeled and they played the black national anthem. And I saw where, and you know what's insulting about that? And this is something somebody brought up a while back. They said
that we're even calling it that.
Yeah, they were calling it the black national anthem. So now, so that means the assumption is that the other one is the white national anthem. So what about everybody else in America? Do they not have a national anthem? Or let's not get into this. Let's not get into this black and white national anthem crap. Come on. Let's quit letting these MFers divide us. That is ridiculous. Let's not do that. Please, I beg y'all. Let's not call them black and white. Let's not let the media tell us what they are. We better than that. We really are. I mean, I know we all know some stupid people, but for the most part, if you're watching this, you're better than that. You care enough to listen to me rant. You probably are better than that. I like to think. Mm-hmm. Let's see. Christy says, do we have to call the media to get a sewer leak fixed? Yes, you probably do. Or, do what I do. Post a picture of it and tag the mayor and @City of Jackson. They have official Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram pages. And just tag them in it. The guy that runs the City of Jackson social media despises me. He replies to me all the time. So they hate being called out. Make sure you tag the news. Make sure you tag us. And, we'll share it to our 22,000 followers. Another 15,000 on Instagram. And we'll tag them. But I'm going to tell you this funniest place that I get the most response from the city's team is on Twitter, where I only have like 150 followers on the Save Jackson page. Which just tells me that Democrats are way more active on Twitter. I think that's a proven fact. Let's see.
A lot of people saying we should all be united.
Yeah, together we can storm any weather. Absolutely. Delaney, that's great. I love that. Yeah, look, man, hit up. There's some, going back to the having to get in touch with the media for infrastructure issues. There's some really great reporters around here that are hungry, and they all have social media pages. Like, you can just go in and type in WLBT or WJTV and probably find 20 local news people. And, like, their personal, like, we'll use CJ LeMasters, for example. Yeah, CJ LeMasters, WLBT reporter, or whatever it is. And send one of them a direct message. They're always looking for scoops. especially in a city like Jackson that typically doesn't have a whole lot of. Well, Jackson's got plenty of stuff to talk about, but somewhere like us, we don't have to confirm a whole lot, 50 sources to run with it. So you'd be surprised at how easy it is to get stuff on the media. Hit up Jackson Jambalaya, Kingfish over there. He's got a big voice. He can help out. So you never know.
Somebody said, "Did you stay on Daryl?" LOL. Do you know what that means?
I'm not sure what that. You're talking about Daryl.
I
see that. I'm not Humpy Hamp. I'm not sure about staying on Daryl. Is that you talking about Daryl that posts on here all the time? You had to fill me in a little bit better.
Somebody said, "All in favor of changing the national anthem into a Kanye West song?" ?
Which Kanye West song?
No.
I Put On For My City. Let's see. Kind of reading through the comments here. Y'all bear with me a minute. So William says, anybody that takes the time to drop more than just an emoji, I'm going to read your comments here. William says, I saw a commercial that aired after 9/11. They showed all of the nationalities. Their quote was, I am an American, not anything else added. I remember that. Budweiser ran a commercial. It may have only ran one time. It was during the Super Bowl after 9/11. And it was the Clydesdales with the Twin Towers in the background. They did the bow. You can find it on YouTube. It still to this day gives me chills talking about it. The Budweiser Clydesdales 9/11 commercial. It's just amazing. Something, I'm going to go negative here for a second. Something I'll never forget about that day on 9/11 was I had to run over to Clinton for something, a business run, and I was listening to the radio. And I think, like most people, I was just craving news. Like, who did it? And I remember pulling out of my neighborhood, and the first time I ever heard the name Osama bin Laden was, I think, on ABC radio. It was being piped in to most all the channels. Like, every radio station in Jackson wasn't playing music. They were playing the news. Well, I remember specifically turning off of Highway 18, taking a right on the Spring Ridge Road going towards Clinton. And I flipped it off because one of the channels I was listening to went to a commercial. And 99 Jams never quit playing music. It's like it didn't happen. And it's kind of weird now. Like, forever I hated them because of that. Like, how are you not respectful enough to break in to the Jams to report a national attack? I mean, this was our generation's Pearl Harbor. And now I get it a little bit more, but for a long, long time I held that against 99 Jams, that they never broke into the music to talk about that. But I guess now sometimes it's nice to be able to stick your head in the sand a little bit and have somewhere to escape to. I wish sports realized that and stuck to sports. So I can appreciate it a little bit more. But of course now everywhere is nobody sticks to anything. I don't stick to what I do, but I don't do it at work. So I do think there's a difference. And I think, like most of us normal people, they get online and hoot and holler and all that. We're not doing it through our work, the avenue of work. So there is a difference there. That's why I don't care what NFL players do or basketball players do or any of that. I just don't like it being a group effort on the clock. I don't know why that's such an argument to have with people. If I went into my work tomorrow and hijacked their social media to promote vote for Trump, I wouldn't have a job. And in the time it took for the first person to see it. So I don't know why we think it's okay for athletes to put on the uniform and run out onto the field and protest whatever political beliefs they have. on any side of it. I just don't care to see it there. But that's just me, you know. Because I think what happens in that environment is you really aren't opening it up for discussion. You're putting it on, and nobody's able to talk back to you about it. You know, it's just like you're out on an island saying what you want to say with nobody having a way to communicate back to you. I mean, if you're going to do that, I think people should be able to communicate with you. So look, let me jump back in here. Heather says, I was pregnant, and when I was in the hospital shortly after... let me go back to it. When I was in the hospital shortly after, sat there in bed thinking, what the F world did I just bring a child into? Yeah, you know, Heather, that's a conversation we've had some here lately, man. It's crazy.
A lot of people have felt that way this year.
Yeah, people who have had a kid this year, I know they have to feel that way. I mean, and on a different level. I mean, at least with 9/11, I mean, it was a standalone incident. I mean, I know war happened, and if you had family in the military and stuff, it was terrible. But I mean, at least there wasn't any more terrorist attacks here. But with this COVID stuff and these riots and all this unpredictable, what's next, you know.
Go in the hospital and have your baby all by yourself.
Oh yeah, having to go to the hospital and have a baby by yourself. I mean, that's crazy. Let's see. Richard says, whatever 99 Jams was doing, I do relate to the feeling. There have been times when I've just had enough of things like this, and do recall having the TV off and my life was normal after the towers. Yeah, I agree. That's why I said my opinion has changed some on it. I mean, I thought it was disrespectful, but I get it now. I do. I get it a lot more. I don't necessarily think that's what they were doing at the time, and I think that's the difference. I think kind of had the "it ain't my problem" mentality. One of our dogs is standing at the door growling to get out. Let's see. Hell, every year for the past 500 years, you could say that. Okay. Johnny says the country was united in the fight after 9/11. You know, that's a great point, Johnny. The biggest difference in now versus then is the country was united with one common enemy. Now the enemy is whatever the other side of the political spectrum you're on. You know, if you're a Republican, the enemy is the liberal. If you're a liberal, the enemy is Republicans. And I talked about it last night a little bit. It doesn't even feel like... I know that they're using BLM as a Trojan horse to push all these other crazy agendas, but it does feel like that it's not really white and black. It feels like it's a Republican versus Democrat, or really, in my opinion, it feels like highly overeducated white liberals fighting non-college educated conservatives. And that's the real battle. And everybody else is kind of catching shrapnel, you know, because of it. Ed, what is the reason? I just don't think it's really white and black. And I think that's what the media wants us to think. In my heart of hearts, I really don't think it's white and black. I think it is white liberals leveraging the minority community into their battle with conservative America. You know, and when they had the power of the media behind them, because they all believe the same thing, it's easy to manipulate, you know, people. That's just my opinion on that. Yeah, Chris, I agree, man. They're sitting back. You said it best, man. They're sitting back laughing, waiting for their best chance. I think, and this is just my opinion, I think normal, and I think it's way more normal. You know, the whole silent majority saying, I think is more real and prevalent now than it was in 2016. I think the shit show that has gone on the last 8-9 months since the beginning. Well, since March. Yeah. So what's that? 6 months. Whatever. By November, 8-9 months. I think the nonsense that's going on has created a larger silent majority. I think there's a lot of people who aren't like the people watching this right now who are willing to comment and have conversation. I think there's a lot of people who live in certain communities that are just absolutely scared to utter a word other than, So we'll see. It's going to be a very interesting election. It'll be interesting to see how the mail-in votes are done. I don't like any of that. I think, if you're... You should almost have to have a doctor's excuse to vote by mail. I know that's not practical. There's too many people. Not enough doctors. But just a thought. You should definitely have to have an ID. What did Marquis say? I don't care how bad Trump is. If he says anything about ending or lowering child support, he will get my vote. That is a great topic that gets ignored a lot. And I know that we always hear the stories about women who don't get enough child support or don't get any child support from the baby daddy. But the stories that don't get told, and I know my buddy, his ears just popped up on this. Thomas had a brain fart there. I know my buddy Thomas Korn's ears just puckered straight up with this conversation. But there are a lot of stories of men who have caught the bad end of that. And those stories never get told. So, and that's something that's actually a conversation we're going to have on here soon. I haven't had that problem personally, been blessed, but I don't mind using my platform to let other people share their stuff, even if it's something that hadn't happened to me. And as we grow into a space where I can have more people over and do more stuff, that is something I absolutely want to do, is have people over and discuss, give people a chance to explain their platform and their concerns, or not their platform, but explain their struggle on our platform. We don't have to agree with it. We don't have to say, oh yeah, man, that happened to me. I think that's how we grow this platform. And people talk about, how do you save Jackson? I don't necessarily think it's about saving the city as much as it is helping the people within the city and the surrounding areas on a case-by-case basis, block by block, brick by brick, person by person. That's how we save Jackson. It's just a name. All right, back to the comments here. Marquia, thank you, man. That was a... Markeith. That was a... thank you for chiming in, man. That's not an easy subject for people to talk about. Ed says, Clay, we are being gunned down for the same thing a white person is arrested for. How is it not black-white? Man, Ed, I just realized that you were on here a couple weeks ago. We had a really good conversation. Thank you for coming back. White people are being gunned down too. More white people than black people are being gunned down. And I also think that whether people want to say this out loud or not, and this is me walking on glass here saying this, but where the big disconnect in this conversation comes from the amount of black on black crime that seems to be an inconvenient truth that gets brushed away. And there's never a fuss or a fight or an argument about it. Think about all the kids in Jackson, man. We've had just this year alone, in 2020, I think it's 2 kids in Jackson, an 11-year-old and a 6-year-old. Now, I may have the ages wrong. A boy and a girl who were both killed in their sleep in apartments or houses this year in drive-by shootings. Not a candlelight protest, not a hashtag, not a protest downtown, nothing. And I don't want to tell people how to protest or any of that, but I'm just saying, here we are locally, and we don't even do that. But something happens to a guy in Minnesota, and you got 3,000-4,000 people marching downtown. Wanting to go storm the suburbs and stuff. There's no consistency. Does that make sense? From our perspective, there's no consistency in the fight. And then more white people are killed by cops than black. I mean, Google the numbers. I don't care how many more of us there are. That's irrelevant. If you just, I don't necessarily like looking at per capita stuff. I like looking at real numbers. And real numbers, more white folks are getting killed by police than black folks. I did a big breakdown on this the other day.
Ed said whites kill whites as well.
And blacks kill whites as well.
And whites kill blacks as well. I mean...
whites kill blacks, blacks kill whites. I mean, these are bad people do bad things. I just don't, I think that most of the crime that happens does not happen because of race. It may be somebody of different races doing it, but I don't think that people leave the house today, for the most part, saying, I'm going to kill somebody of the opposite race today. Yes, it happens. I'm not going to be an idiot, stick my head in the sand and pretend that doesn't happen. But it happens on both sides. And we're seeing more and more of that here lately.
Are you reading comments?
I'm trying. They're coming pretty fast.
Yeah. Ed says, I live out here in the heart of Madison, and their kids...
Okay, I got it here.
Okay.
Ed says, I live out here in the heart of Madison, and their kids is just as bad as ours. They walk around in ankle bracelets for crimes we go to jail for. Look, and I don't live in Madison. I live in Jackson. And this is where I have a hard time not wanting to be the voice of somebody said I'm the voice of white people, and that's one of the meanest things anybody's ever said about me. I don't want to sit here and try to tell you that I'm the voice of anything. I just know what I see every day as somebody who lives and works in Jackson. And I see people in Jackson. All you got to do, if you do a crime in Jackson, is go see Tommy Green and you're getting off. So blacks get away with a whole lot in Jackson. I can't speak for what goes on in Madison County. I've heard those things. That's an easy urban legend, popular thing to say. I don't know what the real numbers are on that. I would like to see. I bet that they are harder on people that aren't from Madison that come there and commit crimes. So, I don't know. That's a great point, Ed. I really love your opinion on stuff. I love reading your opinion on stuff. But let's take the time, and I'll do it this weekend if I don't get a chance before, maybe sooner. Or if you get a chance, let's look up the real numbers, and look into that. I know I did a thing the other day where there's been 2 cops killed in Mississippi in the last 12 months. And they were both white, killed by black men. But no black men have been killed by white cops in Mississippi in the last 12 months or so. So take that for whatever it's worth. I think that it's a prime example of the media. Jackson, let's look at Jackson. 88 murders and counting, with 4 months left to go in the year. September, October, November. 4 months left to go in the year. 15 weeks. Not a single murder by cop. So, that's a pretty strong statement. Markeith, thank you. Thank you for breaking the ice there. Can we change the subject? Why is it hard to open a business in Jackson with so many empty buildings? If you have the answer to that, you could be a very wealthy individual, because I believe the answer is go shake the right hand with a little bit of money in it. But it's really hard. And what it is depending on, there's a lot of older buildings. And I experienced this when I opened up a club downtown. If you didn't buy the previous business's operating license, like you didn't buy the business, you have to bring the building up to code before you can get your permits to open. And when you have a lot of older buildings like downtown and just in Jackson in general, and you have an ever-evolving code laws that the city rarely enforce anyway, but they enforce them upon new businesses. Handicap accessibility, fire code, sprinkler systems, electrical, all these building codes. It is a nightmare to open a new business in Jackson because of code and zoning. Zoning is a nightmare. Your capacity laws are a nightmare. I know I sound like a hypocrite being a staunch supporter and critic of Jackson to say I would not open a business here. But I would, under the current administration and climate towards new business, I would not open a business here for anything. I just wouldn't. I'm not saying I wouldn't operate within Jackson, but I would base my business outside of Jackson. And then operate there, like if you had a mobile business type thing. But my address would not be based in Jackson. It just wouldn't. And especially if I was a brick and mortar building, open up a restaurant, a bar, a club, a retail space, anything like that, wouldn't do it. Would not do it. The city has proven through the COVID stuff right now, they are not business friendly. It's all about politics. They want to look like I talked about it last night, the mayor of Jackson and the mayor of Canton are in a pissing contest to see who can run the most businesses out of their city and the most events and all that stuff. There wouldn't be a fair this year if it was up to the mayor, but the state owns the fairgrounds and it's almost like a city within a city. Same way the Jackson Airport is in Rankin County, but it belongs to Jackson.
Gabe says we don't take our food trucks in Jackson anymore.
Man, I hate that. I kind of feel like Jackson's like the spot for food trucks. But I hear Burgers and Blues did so well with their food truck in Brandon that they're opening up a permanent location there. Is that what I think Johnny on here told me? Let's see. Jay says, I had to get off on Ellis Avenue yesterday because of road construction on 80 between So did I. Had to do that this morning, Jay. Said, those damn hourly hotels and folks walking the streets. Yeah, so Jay, if y'all been watching me for a while now, y'all know that stretch of 80 there around Ellis Avenue has been a thorn in my side that I've talked about till I'm blue in the face or red in the face. And I had to get off there today because of road interstate construction. I was going to be late for work if I didn't get off. So I came up Ellis, and I wasn't able to turn left on on 80. So I just went on down Ellis over to Lynch, and I came up Robinson Road to go to work. Man, when you see, I'm telling you, when you're in the quote-unquote hood and you see white people pushing buggies, once the white meth heads have whatever the opposite of gentrification is, whatever meth head gentrification is, when they've methified an area, it's bad. That's a different kind of bad. That's go watch these abandoned hotel videos I have bad. They live in those things. 8 o'clock in the morning, 8:30 in the morning, meth heads with no shirts on, pushing their grocery carts down the road. I know people get on here and like, Clay, you don't have any empathy. My empathy with certain things was worn slap out. Ed, there's a couple of y'all. Ed, Chris, Markeith, Jay, I mean, I don't want to name everybody's names. I would love for us to all get together in real life. Have a big dinner, pick somewhere and have a big dinner together and talk in person. Because I think this is the kind of conversation, Jay, that we could really, really make some strides with and set a great example for our kids and our community. You know, if we got together and 10 or 12 of us, something like that, maybe a smaller group, and go somewhere, get a big table, a private room, and just hang out, you know, have some drinks, have some dinner, you know, and really talk about some stuff. I think, yeah, Ed, I'm glad you said that, man. I think we could really, really, you know, maybe do it once a month, something like that, a men's club, men's dinner, you know, like they have at church. And, of course our wives can come too, but y'all know what I'm saying. And
Thanks.
well, I said men's dinner, but I was just thinking more like from a prayer group aspect, you know. But I just think it would set a great example, you know, instead of just get offline and actually be about it and not just talk about it. And man, I would love that. I think we need I'll inbox you guys, and we'll come up with something. I see Spooner on here. Yep, but Spooner said have a barbecue. Invite who you want. That's the only reason I started. I threw that $10 thing up to become a supporter. Was if I got to 100 people, that meant I made $1,000, and I could afford to throw everybody a big barbecue and beer and all that stuff. I know it wasn't even going to be 1,000. It was like I needed 10 people. Yeah, at 100 would be $1,000. I was like, we'll throw a big barbecue and free beer and the whole 9 yards for everybody who's a supporter. It wasn't about me putting money in my pocket.
Shannon said, Clay, did you see WLBT wanting people to write in about how to improve Jackson?
So WLBT is wanting people to write in about how to improve Jackson. No, I didn't see that, but I will say this. There's a girl, and I'm not going to name her name, and I'm not going to read her questions, but she, I may, but I'm not going to do it right now. She sent me a message on Save Jackson. What was that?
It was me. Go ahead.
There's a girl that goes to school. Y'all bear with me 1 second. I'm pulling my messages up here. Is doing a report for school. Okay, here we go. She goes, hello, my name is blank. I'm a student at Alcorn State University. I'm a psychology major. I was wondering if I could ask you a few questions for an assignment. I'm part of the JXN Uncensored group. For the record, none of your answers will affect the way I view you or whatever this case may be. Your responses will not be published anywhere. Do you mind keeping the conversation confidential? Okay, well, I didn't keep this part of the conversation confidential, but I'm not naming her name. She goes, if you're interested, please reach back to me. So I was like, absolutely. I would love to do that. So she sent me like 16 questions. Will you answer the door? Mm-hmm. So I think they're really good. They're deep, and I love that. So I'm going to answer all of her questions, and I'm not going to put them on here or tell y'all her name. But I think that's really cool, and I'm very honored that an Alcorn student would reach out to me and ask me a bunch of social type questions. I think that's really cool. So backtracking back up a little bit. Said Clay, Sonny says, Clay, we should have a Dunkin' booth to put Kenneth Stokes in it. Hey, I'll tell you what, man, if we're going to raise money for a good cause, I will get in the Dunkin' booth and let y'all dunk me. And I know there's plenty of y'all that want to dunk me. But no, Shannon, I had not seen where WLBT was asking people that. I get asked it 100 times a day. I've come up with about a dozen answers of how I could save Jackson. I go back because I've started asking people that. And I go back to what Doug Shanks, former city commissioner, told me when I asked him that very question. He said he thought about it for a brief second, because I think he had been thinking about it too. He said, you just got to pick a street. You got to start cleaning it. You got to start holding the people on that street accountable. Then you go to the next street, and the next street, and the next. Brick by brick, block by block, house by house, person by person. Jackson is in such a situation, there is no industrial size answer for this that doesn't
holding people accountable.
Yeah, you start holding people accountable. I think you got to build. Nobody wants to hear this, but you got to build a jail. in Jackson. You got to get that figured out. You got to have somewhere to hold bad people and hold people accountable. You got to clean up these hourly hotels. You're going to have to do some stuff with zoning. You're going to have to start enforcing your own damn laws that you got on the books. It's just Jackson has got a bunch of stuff that it can do and that are quick fixes. And that's just what I don't understand. Hold the employees of the city accountable. It feels like an easy answer, and why do we have to always, try to think we got to reinvent the wheel to fix this? You do not have to reinvent the wheel to fix this. Just more policemen.
Chris says 1 house, 1 street, 1 block, and 1 community at a time to fix Jackson.
Yeah, absolutely. Chris is great here. In case y'all couldn't hear Crystal, Chris said 1 house, 1 street, 1 block, 1 community at a time to fix Jackson. Nailed it, man. I definitely think that's what you got to do.
It's where you have to start.
Yeah, I mean, and hopefully, and tear down abandoned properties. Amen. Yeah, you got to. And then hopefully what you've done is you start leading by example and you start inspiring people to say, man, did you see what they did on such and such road? Let's do that to our road. There may not be some neighborhoods that can have a homeowners association, but they can have leaders within those, like in a church, you have leaders. We need men to step up and be leaders. I feel like I'm turning into my pastor here, having this conversation. I remember hearing the same sermon in church last year. Pastor Terry Fant saying we need the men in the church to step up and be leaders. And that really just came full circle for me. We really do. Women and women too. When I say men, I don't necessarily mean just gender men. We need people to step up and be leaders in your community. Start holding your neighbors accountable. I know some neighbors are worse than others, and it's hard to hold them accountable. I've been blessed to have some great ones. My neighbor is right here to my right. I was walking out to my car this morning to go to work, and the young lady was like, "Clay, do you have a second to take something back in your house?" I was like, "Sure." She complimented my shoes. So she had me. She had me at hello. She complimented my shoes, my Asics, and she brought out a food box with a sack of potatoes, a bag of apples, some onions, and we had given them one a few weeks earlier from church, and completely caught us off guard and gave me a food box. I brought it back inside, and I'm going to fix it. I'm going to take everything, fix it, and take it to my crew at work. Some potatoes and onions, and I'll figure out some kind of meat to take. But that, to me, it just really inspired me this morning. It takes little stuff like that. Yeah, Gabe, I go to Hickory Ridge, and I have not been nearly as much as I need to, and I'm embarrassed by that. And I was supposed to go last week, and I will eventually get back physically into church, but I watch it every Sunday for the most part, and Wednesday online. It being closed and only doing digital got me back to watching it more. But yeah, Terry's a great guy. He baptized me 3 years ago in the pond there, or lake, whatever you want to call it, at Cleary Lake. I got baptized in the water there, and definitely was a great, great moment in my life. And even though I've veered off a little bit here lately and drink and cuss more than I need to, the 2 years that I was in Hickory Ridge all the time, it really got my life back on track, coming out of the bar business and some failed businesses and just some wrong turns. Thomas said he's tuning back in. Thomas, we talked about you while you were gone. We were talking about dads getting screwed in child support cases, and I said, I know your ears probably perked up, and we were going to have you on at some point to talk about taking up for dads and stuff. Here we are. We're an hour and 10 minutes into this. I'm like, we're going to do about 20, 30 minutes tonight. Just jump on, jump off. Yeah, Chris said they enforced a no mobile home inside the city limits of Jackson. You know, we went and rode yesterday, me and Crystal, about 6:30 last night, 7 o'clock. Rode and looked at a piece of family land that they have, that her family, is her grandmother's old house. Or great-grandmother's old house? Anyway, over at the Savannah Street area, in that neighborhood back there behind the old Scotties. And I just found it really amazing. You have an area like that, those little small houses. They're basically what a South Jackson version of, say, a trailer park in Pearl would be. It's not a knock, but just the kind of blue collar type homes that they once were. So, but you're starting, and I was like, man, nobody will ever gentrify that area and go in and redo it. Man, was I wrong? Sometimes you just really got to go put your boots on the ground and go around the neighborhood. People are taking those little small, I always just call them shoebox houses, those little beginner type homes. And these are older, man. A lot of these homes are 50, 60 years old in that Savannah Street area. And people are taking them and redoing them and, you know, putting nice, beautiful fences around them and big patio. Some of them got decks on them bigger than the houses. But then you'll have two really nice houses and one completely burned out one. One nice one, two burned out ones. Or one, like there was a neighbor and there sounded like a nightclub outside. Every other word, some, boom, 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 cuss, cuss, cuss. And I was just like, man, like what if you live there and you don't want to hear that crap? People barbecuing in their front yard. Stuff like that. To me, that's little stuff that the city should work on. Like, you shouldn't have to see that crap and have to hear that crap. Be respectful of your neighbor a little bit. So, Danica says, Miss Hudgies over there. Absolutely. Loved Hudgies. Crystal loved Hudgies. That's her spot. She loves Scotty's too. She worked there for a long time. But yeah, look, man, I hate to cut this off. You guys got so much great conversation going, but I got some stuff I got to do and I got to get ready for work tomorrow. The comments will stay wide open. I'm going to jump back in them once I do a few things and have some more conversation with you guys. Ed, Jay, Chris, Thomas, whoever else is listening out there. Let's plan this men's dinner here, man, and let's get together and chop it up and get to understand each other's concerns more in a real setting. I think we can have a good time with that. So I'm going to jump off here. Y'all have a blessed evening, and we will see you back tomorrow night for our big high school football wrap-up show and everything else. We're going to keep on doing that. We'll close with this. Make sure you're following us on all social media outlets at Save Jackson. If you're looking for a great gym to work out, you live on the south of I-20, the gym at Byram. You can check them out at thegymатbyram.com for a virtual tour or give them a call at 372-2229 for more information. Full service, b-ball, swimming pools, tennis courts, classes, professional weights, fitness area, the whole 9 yards. $50 for a single membership, $100 for a family. No joining fee this month. Again, check them out, thegymатbyram.com for a virtual tour. They're on all your social media channels, The Gym at Byram. Y'all have a blessed one. Thank you.